to talk about friendships. And I thought it was a important topic because it's one that gets neglected in shows like mine and in the ways we approach our lives. And similarly, it gets neglected at times in our lives as far as the focus that we put and the effort we put into our friendships. Usually when we think of relationships and people talk about relationship advice, what we mean is romantic relationships only. But really, we need more than just that. We need more than just a romantic relationship in order to be happy, satisfied, fulfilled in our social lives and how we feel in general. And also, the more we neglect friendships and we put all our emphasis on one person, our husband, wife, or partner, that can actually have a negative impact on our relationship because we're putting too much on that romantic partner to fulfill everything for us. Yes, I think you actually do want your partner to be your best friend, but unfortunately what we sometimes do is we make our partner our only friend, or we think they should be our only friend and yet still make us happy. And that's too much pressure to put on one person and too much pressure to put on one relationship, and that expectation will inevitably leave us disappointed and upset and unsatisfied with things. So it could be good to remember that we also need to focus on that. People can put a lot of time about dating, who should they date, where should they date, apps, this, how do you find that right person and create that right relationship, which is very important and we should put time in that. But how much time are you investing in your friends and your friendships? How much time are you thinking about those things? When you are younger, when you're in, let's say, school, although school has been different this last year, there's a lot of structure set up for your social life. You're seeing the same people over and over for hours a day, and with homework and other things, it really facilitates our friendships. But we do find is that adulthood also brings a crisis of friendships for a lot of people as well, because now it takes a lot more effort, or takes effort, to maintain friendships. They don't just happen because, okay, we're in the same school 8 hours a day. Now we have to actually put the effort into our friendships, and very often we don't actually do anything about it, and we become more and more isolated and alone. And the pandemic, of course, has magnified this. It actually has done a few things that magnified that we were isolated in a social way. It also, I think, did encourage, and I experienced this too, some people reaching out to one another to connect and communicate over phone or video calls because we felt more isolated, and it just made us think about things in a different way. So that could have been good. But I hope it's something that we continue to focus on and don't lose sight of. Now, there's some generalizations that I'll share, but I do want to bring this up as well, that women and men can differ in this respect. Women tend to be better at keeping friendships as they get older because they connect and they communicate. Again, these are generalizations, but they have a better time or are better at maintaining a relationship as the focus. There's been some research showing that men have a harder time with this, and what actually usually helps them maintain their friendships and their closeness is if it is surrounding some type of regular occurring activity. Like playing, my brother's friends during the pandemic, they couldn't do it, but playing basketball every Sunday, or having a card night, or some other activity that brings them together, and then they maintain the friendship or the friendships through that a little bit more easily than maybe it would be for women. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are male, female. Again, these are generalizations. You might not fall into that, but that's something that has been observed. Now, another important issue when it comes to our friendships is it could seem different from dating. And, in dating, we're very particular and picky, and you have to have a right match and all of that. And I would think that in friendships, it's not as we shouldn't be as picky. Also, you can have more friends and the relationship, the stakes are a little bit lower. But I think people tend to actually forget that you need to choose your friends as well. Not just, okay, well, this is my friend and I have to be friends with them now and continue being friends and continue being close with them. We should think about who we are being close with and being connected to and what friendships we are investing our time, energy, and our emotions into. Of course, we talk about breakups in romantic relationships, and they can be very painful. But with our friendships, we build an emotional attachment and connection as well. And that's what makes them valuable, but that also can make them hard to lose. But it doesn't mean we should never lose them or never decide that we don't want to continue being friends or as close with someone, because it can hurt, just like we do the same thing in relationships. So it could be worth looking at, just like you think, if I had to choose my partner again, would I choose this person? Which can be a risky question, but an important one to really think about, who we're with and do we want to be with them, and really taking that seriously. We can think the same thing about our friends. The friends that we are close and closest to, are these the people we would want to be close to and surrounded by, and of course influenced by, because we are influenced by the people around us? Are those the people we would choose for ourselves? And we should think about that. It's not so easy, obviously, just like picking a partner, the same thing, to just, okay, I want a different friend, so I'm going to pick one. But it's something to be intentional about, and not just think our friendships just happen to us. Okay, these are the people that are in my life, I have no other choice. We always have choices to make, and we want to think very carefully about that. When I work with parents, with their kids, and especially with teenagers, there's a lot of thought about, okay, I want my kid to have friends that are a good influence on him or her, to make them, feel or grow better, let's say focus on studies, don't get into bad things, whatever that means, and all that. And that is important, because people are affected by their friends, and teenagers, especially when we enter adolescence, we know that that's a period where there's a shift from looking to your parents as the people you look up to and learn about the world and want to be like, and they now look to their peers to be the ones they want to be more like, or they try to understand the world through. So it's very important who your child is going to be friends with as a teenager. We can't totally control that, and parents try to do that, and I think that usually backfires. But my point here isn't getting to that point, but to actually recognize as adults the same thing is true. You're going to be influenced by the people you surround yourself by. And so we want to be mindful of who we are surrounding by ourselves with, because we might think, oh no, I don't get influenced, I'm my own person. But we are human beings. We are constantly being influenced by our world. The bigger overall culture is always affecting us and influencing us, but also the smaller circles that we tend to spend more time with and connect with and communicate with, that's going to have an even bigger impact on who we are, how we live our lives, what types of goals we set, what types of lifestyle we create. It's going to be heavily impacted by the people you surround yourself by. So it's just something to be mindful of. Another important aspect of friendships that can come up is this notion that, well, if someone's my friend, or especially this, best friend feeling or description or label that we might put, then I have to tell them everything, or I have to be, they have to know everything about my life, and I should always go to them for advice in all areas of my life. But I think we want to be careful about this too. It's not that I'm saying hide things from your friends, but being aware of who we're getting advice from, because a lot of times when people give us advice, they're talking much more about themselves than they're actually giving advice to you. Sometimes if they're unhappy about something in their life, they give you some kind of advice about that which is what they wish they would do if they were in your shoes. A classic example is people who are married will, if they're not happy in their marriage, will say, oh, don't get married, or, oh, just have your fun right now, because they're imagining themselves, they're not feeling good about their position, but they're putting themselves too much, imagining themselves in your shoes rather than you in your shoes living your life. So we do want to be very aware of who we get advice and support from, and sometimes it could be something you recognize, that some friends are better for certain topics but not good for some. I'll go to this friend when it comes to dating advice. I actually really appreciate their perspective. They make me feel understood, not judged, and I feel like they have some words of wisdom to share that actually do help me. Whereas you might go to a friend and they make you feel bad or judged, or they always have a negative mindset, let's say about men or women or relationships in general, and they're going to put that in their advice to you of, oh, they're all this way, or, oh, see, you shouldn't be with this person, or maybe too romantic. Oh, it doesn't matter what happened with them, make it work, pushing you too much in a certain direction. So you have to really look at that and learn who do I want to go to about different things? And even with that friend that you might not want advice from, you might still tell them about things in your life. So you might even, let's say, talk about your dating life, but not necessarily ask for their advice, or if they give advice, kind of don't go down that avenue too far and just hear them and, kind of move away from it. But it's not someone that you want to explore that issue more deeply with, and that's totally fine. And going back to the earlier issue about who we choose to be friends with, we want to make sure we have friends in our life that make us feel supported, that make us feel that they want what's good for us and what's best for us. We can naturally at times feel some envy. We would want to say, oh, I'm never going to envy my friends. I only want what's best for them, only 100%, nothing else but that. And that's possible, but a human emotion we have is envy, that when we see someone have something that we would like, whether it's something, a material thing, some relationship, some quality, we can't even have a healthy envy that comes up. And there's a difference between a healthy envy and a toxic envy. Healthy envy is, wow, I admire that part of them or what they have I wish I had, and so I want to see what I can do to get there. So I can even still be happy for them if I envy them, but I realize that I wish I was in their position. I'd like to make that happen. A more toxic envy is, I don't like that you have what you have, and actually I'm not even sure if I can get it, so I hope you lose that, or I wish, if you have this relationship, I hope it doesn't work out, or if you got that job, I hope you lose it or something goes wrong, because I don't like this feeling of feeling like I have something I want, and I hope you don't have it either. That's more of a toxic envy. And so even in ourselves, we should look at this. Am I having any of this toxic envy? And that's not coming from a good place. And if we have that in our lives, it's not going to make us feel good. It's like a poison that we're going to keep swallowing. But even with your friends, how do they make you feel about the things that you're going through, things that happen good in your life? Do you really feel like they are wishing the best for you, cheering you on, wanting you to do better and to have good things happen? Or is there some ambivalence or mixed feeling there that you recognize they don't make you feel so good when something happens? And again, we don't have to stay with friends forever. I would hope that actually something like this happens, rather than just cutting them off, we talk about it, we make it a conversation. Sometimes people, they'll let you know, I'm going through a rough time, so it's been hard for me because I feel like nothing's going right in my life, so it's been tough to see you doing so well, which could be difficult, and maybe it means the friendship won't be able to continue, but maybe it can when we're being open. And so similarly, something I try to encourage when it comes to romantic relationships is having the uncomfortable conversations, having the difficult conversations that don't feel good in the moment, but sharing when we're upset or hurt or have a feeling about something in the relationship, about what the person has done or what's happening between us. But we need to bring those things up, because any relationship, to be healthy and strong, has to face the issues that are really there, and avoiding them doesn't help. It only makes it worse and creates distance between you and that person. So I would encourage people to have those conversations in friendships as well, to share how they're feeling. It's not just a romantic relationship thing. In our friendships, we need to try to be more open, address issues, and either we find out we can work through it and you'll actually be closer, or at least we brought up our feeling, and if things don't work out, we don't have to live a relationship that feels like a lie, or that we have to hide who we are. So I appreciate, the topic suggestion from Amy. Was a good one, because sometimes even on my show we can talk a lot about dating and then family relationships, but friendships can get neglected, and similarly we can neglect friendships and the effort and the intention we put in our lives when it comes to friendships as well. So thank you. Let's go to a commercial break. Studio number 310-441-0555. We'll be right back.